Welcome back, everyone, to part 5 of our explainer series on the PMP 2026 update. So if you've been following along with us, you know we're busy translating these really massive shifts between PMBOK 7 and PMBOK 8. And today is a big one. We are taking that classic, traditional triple constraint and evolving it. We're turning it into a highly sophisticated, governance-focused execution engine. So let's just jump right in. Now, for our C-suite leaders out there, our program managers, and of course, our PMP candidates, we're setting a very specific tone for this session. We're going to analyze the core planning and delivery domains, that's scope, schedule, and finance, but we're looking at them strictly through a strategy and audit lens. This isn't just about getting the work done anymore. It's about execution excellence that actually holds up to the absolute highest levels of governance. Real quick, here is exactly how we'll break this all down. First up, the new execution engine. Second, we'll look at scope and the shift from what to why. Third, schedule and predictability. Fourth, finance and stewardship. Fifth, proactive principles. And finally, we'll wrap up with overcoming common delivery challenges. Let's get to it. All right, section 1, the new execution engine. So the core message we really need to internalize here is undeniable. If you cannot measure scope, time, or cost effectively, you literally cannot govern value, period. We've talked about governance and stakeholders in previous parts, but these 3 pillars, scope, schedule, and finance, they are the absolute foundation of accountability. It's the exact intersection where high-level strategy meets boots-on-the-ground delivery. And the paradigm shift we're seeing here is honestly, it's fascinating. Just look at the transition from the old way of thinking in PMBOK 7 to the value-driven execution of PMBOK 8. We aren't managing isolated constraints anymore. We're moving away from mere work packages and stepping up to value packages. We're ditching those rigid milestones in favor of an adaptive cadence. And a big one for our financial sponsors listening, we are shifting from myopic cost control to a real focus on sustainability ROI. So essentially, we're leaving behind those isolated, traditional project management methodologies entirely. PMBOK 8 absolutely demands that we orchestrate value delivery as an integrated system. It's a massive upgrade, right? Especially for steering committees who desperately need a clear line of sight into actual outcomes, rather than just checking a box on task completion. Okay, moving right along to section 2, scope, from what to why. Now, in PMBOK 8, the scope domain has gone through this vital evolution. It's shifted from simply asking, what are we doing, to demanding, why are we doing it? Scope is no longer just about defining work packages and, building these massive walls to prevent scope creep. It's evolved into creating those value packages we mentioned. This means you have to guarantee that every single requirement strongly, undeniably aligns with your original business case. To do that, we have to apply what we like to call the audit lens. When you're evaluating scope, this is the exact critical governance question you need to be asking. Does this requirement still align with the business case and long-term value, or has the value actually shifted? Asking this upfront prevents so much wasted effort. It ensures strategic alignment, and fundamentally, it strengthens your audit trails. Which brings us to section 3, schedule. Predictable, not rigid. You know as well as I do that complex environments will completely break rigid plans. Because of this reality, PMBOK 8 draws a really hard line between predictability and rigidity. Instead of relying on overly rigid, fixed milestones that just shatter the second they face real-world pressure, we're moving toward an adaptive cadence. This is all about balancing realistic, value-driven scheduling with top-tier quality execution. Keeping that governance lens sharp, we have to completely change how we look at delays. The critical question now becomes, is our schedule variance simply a resource issue, or is it an indicator of deeper systemic risk? So schedule health is no longer just a delay metric to put on a dashboard. For C-suite leaders, it is a glaring early warning system for the entire initiative. All right, section 4, finance, stewardship, and ROI. We're seeing a profound elevation in how we handle money. The finance domain goes so far beyond traditional cost control now, it elevates the project manager to a true financial steward. The focus is squarely on sustainability, ROI. We're tracking not just the raw spend, the money going out the door, but the total value being created across the entire life cycle. And yes, for sure, that absolutely includes environmental and social impacts. From an audit-ready perspective, this is a total game changer. The standard requires tracking evidence for benefit realization and fiduciary responsibility, effectively creating ESG-linked budgeting trails. Let that sink in. We aren't just reporting on burned cash anymore. We are tracking true fiduciary responsibility and the total value realization. Okay, on to Section 5, Proactive Principles in Action. To really master this execution engine, you need an interlocking system view. First, a holistic view provides cross-domain impact analysis. Second, embedding quality ensures continuous verification so our deliverables are always audit ready. And finally, focusing on value drives our benefit to cost tracking to completely maximize ROI. Listen, these aren't just corporate buzzwords. These are the active, proactive principles actually guiding your execution. This right here is systemic thinking in action. Imagine you have a change in scope. Under this model, that instantly triggers a finance impact analysis, which then must be validated by quality verification. It's like a giant puzzle. You literally cannot touch one domain without orchestrating the others. This interlocking execution engine is really the major architectural strength of the new standard. Let's bring it home with Section 6, Overcoming Common Delivery Traps. When you're sitting in a steering committee meeting, this is the specific question that completely changes the dynamic. How does this scope change affect our long-term total cost of ownership, or TCO? We aren't just looking at the immediate budget hit for this quarter. We're connecting scope directly back to the long-term financial reality of the asset. To make this incredibly actionable for you, we've compiled this C-suite audit checklist. As you can see, we have targeted questions for scope and TCO, schedule and risk, and finance and ESG. Bringing these specific questions into your steering committee meetings, it instantly elevates your oversight. It's a surefire way to ensure your projects remain completely audit-ready at all times. Implementing this kind of governance actually solves one of the most painful modern project issues out there, the dreaded water scrum fault trap. Come on, we've all been there, right? It's where supposedly agile delivery crashes headfirst into rigid, non-auditable financial reporting. It's a mess. But the PMBOK 8 solution is super clear. By combining those proactive principles with a strict, value-driven domain focus, you finally get true agility without sacrificing financial control. And that officially completes our analysis of the execution engine. We've successfully translated the old triple constraint into a modern, governance-driven powerhouse of scope, schedule, and finance. But I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought. You can design the most perfect audit-ready execution engine in the world, but it is utterly useless if you don't know how to lead the people running it or how to navigate when the unpredictable inevitably strikes. We are going to tackle exactly that people and uncertainty focus in our next explainer. Until then, keep leading with value. For decades, the iron triangle has been the standard for measuring project success. But in complex environments, standalone tracking of these three constraints often masks the project's true business impact. Welcome back to Infinite Business Dynamics. This is video 5 of our PMP 2026 update series. We have established how governance and stakeholders set the rules. Now we examine how the work is executed. In PMBOK 8, the static constraints of the old triangle are replaced by 3 interlocking gears: scope, schedule, and finance. These 3 domains function as the structural link between high-level strategy and ground-level delivery. When these gears are synchronized, they provide a consistent map of project accountability. The scope domain has evolved from a static blueprint into a dynamic roadmap. PMBOK 8 moves away from simply quantifying work packages. Instead, tasks are grouped into value packages, where every requirement is validated against the original business case. This provides a specific lens for governance. When a change request arrives, leaders don't just check the budget. They evaluate whether the new requirement still supports the project's long-term value. The schedule domain undergoes a similar change. Rather than forcing a project to fail against rigid, fixed milestones, PMBOK 8 utilizes an adaptive cadence. The timeline is designed to route around obstacles as they emerge. This turns schedule variance into a diagnostic tool. A delay is no longer just a missed date. It acts as an early warning for deeper systemic risks that could impact other parts of the project. By focusing on these adaptive metrics, a project manager moves from the role of a tactical enforcer to that of a strategic advisor. The finance domain now reaches beyond simple cost control. Under the principle of financial stewardship, The ledger expands to track environmental, social, and governance factors alongside a sustainability ROI meter. This data provides the evidence required by modern auditors. Tracking total value realization alongside direct spend demonstrates that the team is meeting its full fiduciary responsibility. Without this integration, projects often fall into the water scrum fall trap. This happens when fluid, agile delivery crashes into a rigid, traditional financial reporting structure, leading to conflicting data and administrative friction. PMBOK 8 addresses this by wrapping the delivery domains in a protective layer of proactive principles. Using a holistic view ensures that any change in scope is immediately validated against financial reality and schedule quality. Imagine you are presenting to this board. A major scope change has just been proposed. Pause the video and write down one specific governance question you would ask to determine if that change is viable. Efficiency at the task level is not enough. If these 3 delivery domains are not systemically integrated, the project remains vulnerable during an executive audit. This matrix summarizes the shift. In scope, ask, how does this affect our long-term total cost of ownership? For schedule, is this variance a resource issue or a systemic risk? For finance, are we tracking true value realization and ESG impact or just direct spend? You can screenshot this matrix to use as a guide for your 2026 PMP exam preparation and your professional governance practice. Aligning the planning and delivery domains builds the strategic and financial evidence required for a successful audit. In Video 6, we will focus on resources and risk to see how PMBOK 8 handles people and uncertainty. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. I'll see you in the next episode.